Hello everyone. So it appears that I spoke a little too soon because I started doing a whole bunch more shooting and I started getting a dead trigger. Not like consistently, but like occasionally. And I did oil it. So I oiled it all up and let's demonstrate. I'm hitting at the plate at 65 yards. See how many hits I can get. I did actually do pretty good. I was surprised myself with the iron sight. I don't have an optic on this thing yet. There it is, dead trigger. Dead trigger. Try this again. Try it over here. Back 65 yards. The hell, it doesn't like 65 yards, man. Dead trigger. Try it again, 65 yards. Where's that trigger? Try this shit here. I thought maybe this thing like had a thing against 65 yards or something. But yeah, I got a dead trigger. Pull this out. So it's a weird thing because this thing feels like really smooth. Like if I push in on that, that thing pops right up. That's popping right up. So this is a weird thing. I'm just gonna try swapping in another trigger group. Maybe it's a trigger housing. Who the hell knows? I mean, but like usually when I have this kind of a problem, like it's usually here where I push in on the connector and it won't come up, but that's coming up nice. And here's the thing, if I there I'm letting off completely. That's fine. Now I'm gonna basically go to reset. So when I manually sight this, I can do this 100 freaking times. And it's only happening on the recoil. So something about the recoil is making that sear not engage. And I do not know what. I mean, the only thing I can think of is just change out the trigger group. Now this trigger group did come from ADP Builder. I already sent them out an email explaining the problem to them. I'm going to see what they say. Maybe they'll just send me another trigger to try it with this. So, interesting. Interesting. But other than that, I love this gun. This gun is beautiful. It is a beautiful gun. But we'll figure this out. This is a minor, you know, compared to all the other problems that you could be having, getting a trigger that just won't engage on the recoil, that's probably one of the easier fixes. I mean, that's most likely just a matter of just swapping it out. So, interesting. Talk to y'all soon. Hello everyone, welcome back. Got my Glock 17 clone from ADP Builder, and I was having an issue earlier with all ADP Builder parts. Initially it was working fine when I fired the first, like, I don't know, 10 or so shots, but then when I went to shoot it again, I was getting a dead trigger or inconsistent engagement. Okay, now when I was manually cycling it, it was working fine. Okay, but when and I did it something like 100 times. I did it with complete finger off the trigger, and then I did it working on the reset. Okay, so and this is the one here from ADP Builder. So it was working fine when I was manually cycling it, but when I was shooting it under recoil, it would fail to engage. Okay, basically when we're talking about engagement, basically the sear was not catching the firing pin lug consistently, and it was kind of strange. Like, why is it doing it sometimes, but not other times? The recoil clearly had something to do with it. And what I did is I took out the trigger group that came from ADP Builder, and I put in a different one. What's in here now? And this is just one that I got off of eBay. So this is, and I don't even remember where it came from. But and I tested it, and it was working fine. I got to continue to test it, but so far it's looking good. And then what I did is I compared these two side by side. Now, one of the things I did notice, there was first, I mean, there was a problem with the trigger shoe, with the safety in particular. The safety was sometimes when the slide was not on it, sometimes like I had to press it really hard in order to disengage the trigger safety. However, when the slide was on it, it was working fine. Okay, so that was an issue. But however, there is some type of a difference with the trigger safety. Okay, but that wasn't the issue. The issue was the engagement. So what I did is I comparing the two housings. Again, this one's from ADP Builder, right? You can see they got like a little marking there. Comparing these two side by side. Let me get behind the camera. So you can see. This is ADP Builder. You see how it's got this little cut here, as opposed to this one on the right side. You can see how that's solid. Okay, so what I found is, like with this one, if I push in on it with my thumb, that doesn't give. When I was doing the same thing to this one, when it was in the frame, that was moving. That was giving a little bit. So same deal here. Like, you see how it's got this design here? Well, I think that, this plastic is just a little bit thinner. All right, so basically, I think there's just less plastic in the trigger housing, and under recoil, I think it was just flexing too much or bending too much, right? Because that's the only difference I can see. There's clearly a difference in the trigger in the housings between the one that came from ADP Builder and this one here, which is more of a standard one. So I think that's what the problem is. It's a problem with the trigger housing. And like I said, I was not having an engagement problem when I was manually cycling. It was just when I was shooting. So the recoil was basically, I don't know, was causing this to move and flex in a weird way. So that the cruciform wasn't moving the way it's supposed to move. So I'm gonna talk to ADP Builder about that, see what they say. I'll send them this video. Let me fire a couple of shots with this. I got my target out at 65 yards. I didn't even put an optic on this, so we're using iron sights at 65 yards. Now, the only thing I did different here is, instead of putting the sights that came with that ADP Builder, I put the Ameriglows because I think that I wish ADP Builder would send out the suppressor height sights, because I'm planning to put an optic on this, and the standard height ones are pretty useless if you're going to put an optic on this. All right, so 65 yards. I'm shooting at that white target over there. See if I can. You're not gonna hit. You see, you're listening for the dings basically. No dings, but the gun is working. I can't quite hit that target at 65 yards. The funny thing is, when I was testing it off camera, I think I got something like 7 out of 10, and figures on camera I can't even get one hit. And one of the ways that I test, like the final test for my build, is I'll put it in my left hand, right? and I'll shoot this one-handed. All right, so that's the real test to see how well this is gonna work. Goes the lockout. Gun's working good now. So I think I figured this thing out. There's an issue with the trigger housing that came from ADP Builder. Now it might just be specific to this one, but I suspect it might be something more than that because, like I said, the plastic on this is a little bit thinner compared to the ones I normally get. But it did feel really smooth. Like it had a really nice trigger pull. So that's why I'm kind of like disappointed that this isn't working out so well, because this had a really nice smooth trigger pull. And I really liked it. You know, this one over here kind of feels like, you know, your standard Glock, trigger pull. So this did have a very nice trigger pull, but I think this trigger housing is, I think it's just flexing too much, and it's allowing the cruciform to, move in a way it's not supposed to move, and that's why it's failing to engage consistently. So I hope you guys found this video useful. Make sure you guys subscribe to all my YouTube channels. I'm trying to get ahead of the censors. I've got on YouTube, I've got Safa, Absolute Guns, Pocono Shooting, and on where am I? On Rumble, I'm Pocono Guns, and then on Odyssey, YouTube, and Gunstreamer, I'm Pocono Tactical. Okay, I'll talk to y'all soon.